Ziya, how do we talk about a more holistic approach to science, to medicine, to everything in a way that things aren't as siloed and that we're also talking to all the other disciplines out there so what we're doing in terms of shaping a society is less narrow and more taking all things into consideration?
I think that that's really important. And of course, in the last 30 years, we've learned a lot about network thinking, right? With the advent of the internet, we've had incredible, rapid technological advancements. And that's largely because we can crowdsource our brains and work together across time and space. But I think one of the issues is that still in the educational level, there's this culture of sort of separating idea streams. So, you know, we separate the scientists from the artists quite a bit, right? And then even within the scientists, if you go to a university, quite often a scientist, a biologist won't know what the professor next door is even doing. So we need a lot more cross-pollination at the educational level and more polymaths, more Renaissance thinkers. And one thing that I came across that I found really interesting is that Nobel laureates, scientific Nobel laureates, what separates them from other leading scientists is that they're 25 times more likely to have a hobby in the arts. So these brilliant minds are more likely to be, you know, playing the piano or painting or doing poetry. So, you know, we need to kind of start to think about this in a bigger, broader way, because again, like, we live in a very fragile system. So when I wrote The Reality Bubble, it was looking at all these different scientists who were able to see remarkably, right? Scientists can see more than we can. They can image black holes and they can, you know, see tiny atoms. So you get a better picture of the world when you can piece all of those images together. And even in terms of COVID, some of the COVID researchers right now are saying, you know what, there are no COVID-19 experts. It's a brand new field. So the only thing they can do, Dr. Majumdar said this, right? Outbreak researchers right now, they have to come from diverse disciplines and they have to prioritize working together. And that's how breakthroughs are actually made.
Talk about conscious economics from the perspective of your organization and how you see this fitting with what Ziya's talking about and what Shad's talking about, which is this sort of more holistic approach to living.
Well, it's all interconnected to even what Ziya just said. Conscious economics is about evolving human consciousness to solve societal issues. And again, when we are, you know, looking at a very myopic view of the world and we're looking at our systems and we look at innovating those systems only in one particular way, we will not get the kind of results that we need. I would argue that this particular pandemic is only just highlighting all that wasn't working already. The frontline workers that are underpaid and not feeling, you know, mentally well or safe or supported have always been doing that work. You know, when I think about equality and diversity and how that's become such a theme for organizations to talk about, yet so many don't feel equal and included around the boardroom table. So conscious economics is about the evolution of consciousness and actually valuing consciousness as much as we would value profit.
At times like this, Shad, when we are in a crisis, what do we turn to? We turn to art to help us heal, you know, the sort of collective soul, if you will, whether it's song, even tonight, musical performances. How can art help the world heal going forward? I know it's a big question, but beyond what we're normally used to, is there something else that could be happening for people to be able to not just have to turn to it in times of crisis, but turn to art proactively to heal their souls going forward?
Yeah, I think it connects to what Rhiannon and what Ziya were both saying, because art is this universal emotional language, right? Where you can speak directly to the problems and to the issues, and it's unguarded. You can speak directly to our blind spots. As Ziya was saying off the top, you can speak directly to all of these issues of reconnection, which I think is what we're getting at with this conversation about humanity 2.0. It's reconnecting to land, it's reconnecting to the spirit, it's reconnecting to history, it's reconnecting to one another, it's reconnecting to, you know, all these things that make us a human being. So yeah, I mean, art definitely belongs in that project. It's arguably the glue of that project. And I loved what Rhiannon said about everybody is creative. You know, like in my family's from Rwanda, and in that culture, they think it's hilarious that I have a career as an artist because everybody sings. You know, to my grandmother, it's like playing Duck, Duck, Goose professionally. It's like, this is what everybody does. This is what everybody's meant to do. We're all meant to use our voice. We're all meant to be creative within whatever our discipline is, whatever parameters are around our life, are around our field. So yeah, I think artists can remind us of that, but ultimately I think that should be democratized and given to everybody as a way to be more whole.